Saturday morning, here we are. So, welcome to another episode of Coffee with the CEO. Ooh, sounds important. Uh, Actually, just needed a name for the show, and it kind of fit my mood that day. So that's what I named the show. I Saturday is a laid back day for me. Saturday and Sunday, I work. I work 365 days a year. I do something for the business. Whether it's just checking an email, looking on my phone at Amazon, or whatever it is. What I want to talk about is, and if you read the description, you have an idea, is organic sales. 2020 was a year that really rocked a lot of companies with their SOPs. And nobody was prepared for what the pandemic brought. Amazon wasn't prepared. Walmart wasn't prepared. Most of us as sellers weren't prepared. The one advantage that small mom and pop little sellers have, and I'm not trying to sound important, but there's a difference between doing 100,000 a year and doing 3 million a year. And there's a difference between 3 million a year and somebody doing 10 million a year. The smaller $100,000 sellers, $200,000 sellers were able to pivot their business very quickly during the pandemic because their procedures are a little more flexible. How they run the business is a little more flexible. I got caught pretty bad with the pandemic. I had numerous trucks headed to Amazon that they didn't turn away, but they took the product off and said it's non-essential and sat it on the dock. Then there was ASIN restrictions on the good selling products that I had. So I was restricted on how many I could send in. And my processes were not developed for shipping direct to customers. And in 2021, I think you're going to see a lot more shipping direct to the customers from sellers. That's just my opinion. I am not changing my business model to accommodate that on the products that are FBA. If it's FBA, it's FBA. If it's a drop ship item, then it's a drop ship item. I'm not changing up how I do that. So I wanted to talk about how did I develop my method of making a process? How was I able to go from just me to teaching somebody how to help me? Well, the guy, when I was in New Jersey, this is, oh man, I'm going to guess 2012. I could go back in the records and find out exactly when I hired my first employee. My neighbor across the street said if I ever need help, he would come help me. So in the beginning, I paid him cash. Wasn't the greatest thing for bookkeeping. I didn't get a deduction for it, but it worked. It got me started. I remember trying to figure out, I knew I needed help. I mean, I was overwhelmed with the amount of work that I needed to do to maintain sales in Amazon. I knew that. I knew I needed help, but I didn't know how to allow somebody to help me, because with Amazon, and you got to remember, this is early in my Amazon thing, I was terrified of Amazon. Terrified. I remember being terrified. How do I put a process in place? And I didn't call it a process back then, guys. It was just, okay, how am I going to teach Jose to help me so that it actually helps me. So what I had him do was one step. That's it. That's all he was allowed to do. He was allowed to take two items, put them on. Now, I made a 16-foot work table so that you could do this out of a case. He would stack two items down the table. We could fit, I think, 18 of them on the table. So he would start at one end, he'd stack two, all the way down the table until he had 18 stacks. Then he opened up another case and he took one of those items and set it on top of the other two. A very certain way. It had to be a certain way. All the way down. Then he opened up another case and he stacked two on top of those. I made like an assembly line here, guys, for one person. Then he took a plastic bag and they had to go in the plastic bag a certain way. And I showed him this step by step by step. This is what you got to do. I watched him do it probably 1,000 times before I would turn my back on him to let him do it himself and me work on something else. I worked with him for a long time on just that one step. He wasn't allowed, he didn't put no sticker on the bag. He didn't put it in a box to send it to Amazon. I then had another shelf behind him where he would stack those products that were packaged. I was the only one allowed to put labels on because they had to go perfectly square in a certain position so that every single package looked identical. I'm talking about the little FBA sticker we all put on there. I mean, now we just, I've learned that nobody really cares how that sticker's placed. It's a matter of getting it on there so Amazon can scan the barcode. I have not had anyone complain that the sticker was crooked. But I would sticker them and put them in the boxes because the counts had to be perfect or you would get suspended on Amazon. If the labels weren't perfect, you would get suspended off of Amazon. I was terrified in the beginning of getting suspended. Jose did this part-time after his job at night. And one day he came to me and said, I have no job. They let me go. I said, okay, but I can't pay you cash. You have to go on the books. You have to have payroll. So eventually he was allowed to take two items, one item and two items, put them in a bag, and I'd let him put a sticker on it. I was very anal about how I built this process, guys. This is exactly how I did it. He then was able to take that sticker package and stack it like he used to, which means I had one less step that I had to do. I no longer had to put the sticker on the package. I then counted them out, and it went. It fit in a box. We were able to get 48 in a box. We had one row, 16 would fit on each row, and we stacked it 3 rows high in the box. 48 units went back into the box. That's exactly how I did it. But each one had to be put exactly the same in the box. So eventually, I trusted Jose enough that he was allowed to take those and put them in the box, but he wasn't allowed to close the box. I had to be able to see in the box so I could check each box that he did. And I would spot check them. I would take them all out of the box and count and make sure there was 48 in the box that I spot checked. Guys, I'm talking about this took months for me to get to where he was able to process one product over and over again, all the way to where it was stacked in boxes ready for me to ship into Amazon. I was the only one allowed to build the shipping plan. If you screwed up the shipping plan, you would get suspended. I'm telling you, that's how terrified I was of being suspended off of Amazon. So if you're afraid of getting suspended off of Amazon, know that I felt the same way when I started. Eventually, I allowed them to do two different products. He was allowed to do two different products and box them. And eventually, over probably it took 9 months before he was allowed to do a shipping plan. Now, what was I doing during the time he was saving me? I was out buying more stuff for him to process. Got to a point where we had to hire somebody to help Jose do processing. I was doing all the RA. Then one day, I didn't have a lot of stuff to process. I took Jose with me and showed him how to buy from a shopping list, how I made a shopping list. And the route I took a certain route every day to different stores to buy items. Everything I did was exactly step by step by step. I never wrote the steps out. That was one of my biggest problems, probably, guys, was that I did not write my steps out. If I would have wrote my step, now I write my steps out now. When I do this, I do it step by step. I do it just as detailed. Mind you, my processes are just as detailed. Open up Seller Central at sellercentral.amazon.com with a link. That's step one. Step two, use the username and password assigned to you, the login to Amazon. Step three. So my process is maybe 40 steps just to sign into Amazon, but I do everything very detailed. Why am I telling you all this? Because organic growth is what I'm focusing on in 2021. I'm not looking to go wider. I'm not looking to go deeper. I am going deeper on some products, but that's because of organic growth. I'm seeing where I need to stock things a little heavier. Through all these processes, I've been able to get to a point where I am now. In 2021, I want to focus on streamlining some of those processes so they're not 500 steps long. I also want to apply a uniformity. Because I operate in several locations. I have processes in New Jersey. I have processes in Missouri. I have processes in Arizona. I have processes in California. And until I lost a flag company, I had processes where they were shipping from in Indiana for me. I'm trying to make all that more uniformed. That's one of the goals I have for 2021 is everything is more uniformed. Everything needs to be written out so that if someone is out, we can open the processes to page 65 and we know how to order a product from so-and-so. We know that this product is packaged this way. Everything is going to be more uniformed going forward. But that's how I built my processes. One single little step at a time. When Jose first worked for me, when he first started, he would work 2 hours here, 3 hours there. And that's what he did. He took one product and he bagged it. Basically, what he did was he bagged the product for me. I sold a lot of material type items back then, granny panties, things that would have to go into a plastic bag. I also did a lot of bundles back then, so you had to put pieces together and put them in plastic bags. I still do a lot of bundles. 90% of my business is bundles that I design. This is where you can take what I did and apply it to your business a way you need it to be applied. Do you need help with shipping? Every day at 12 o'clock, I need you to take this stuff and take it to the post office with this sheet and stand in line and scan it. Is that what you need a process for? Do you have a system of how you store your inventory that you can show somebody how you do your shipping? Or is your shipping haphazard? And listen, there's a lot of things in my business that are very disorganized. So this is not me taking pot shots at you if you don't know where all your inventory is stored based on some kind of system. There's pictures in Facebook going back a lot of years of a tractor trailer that I had where we stored jeans, Amish dresses and jeans I sold on eBay. And I was a volume seller. I did not price them based on research. I sold all my jeans for $9.95 plus $6.95 shipping and handling. Amish dresses eventually were $19.95 plus $6.95 shipping and handling. Regardless of what they were, that's how I priced them. But I had thousands of them. What I did was I built a system, a file system inside the tractor trailer on wire shelves, where I packaged every pair of jeans, went into a flat rate envelope. On the front of the flat rate envelope was a number. 0001 was the first one, all the way up to 9999. The last 4 characters in my title matched the number on that flat rate envelope. So what I did was I then took 001 and put it in the front of the first box, then put 0002, 003, 004, and so on. That allowed me to hire my mother after Dad died, and I didn't want her working at the church anymore. I wanted her to stay home. I wanted her to start enjoying some of her life. She spent years taking care of her husband, who had Alzheimer's for almost 10 years to the day before he passed away. It was just time for her to not have to deal with all that. So I had to have a system so that she could pull the items for me and ship them. So every morning, what she did was, because of those boxes, now, as the boxes became loose, not full of inventory, what I did was I consolidated from right to left. So I would take 001, I would pull that back, and I would take the next box and I fill it in behind that box. And on the front of the box, I had the numbers. My mother was then able to go in and know which box the order was in, because it'd be the title and the last 4 would have a number, and she could look at the numbers on the box and knew exactly where that item was. So every morning she printed out her packing slips. She would then sit in the house and she would put them in order based on where the numbers were in numerical order so that she could pull them. That was her little system she put into place. She would then pull the packages, and then she would print the labels out of eBay for each of those packages and then label each package, and off they went. That was her process. Because she did that for me, and Jose was packaging for Amazon, I then went, okay, now I can grow a little more, look for more product. The next thing I did was I came up with a method to list the jeans. Every pair of jeans got 4 photographs. I forget exactly how they were, but it basically laid the jeans out in a certain way that all the pictures that were needed were done in 4 pictures. Every title was uniformed. Certain things had to be put in the title. that made the title. And then in the description was basically the same for every pair, except for you had to change the measurements on each pair of jeans. I sold tons of jeans that way, guys. It was a system. Lori and I would go out and buy hundreds of pairs of jeans every week. Somebody would take pictures and build the listing and put them in. Now, remember, I had packages. They put them in a flat rate envelope and write a number on the front, 0111. So they knew their next listing would be 0112. Now, this was all written out on a clipboard that they could check off the steps, and I made them check off the steps probably for the first 2 weeks that they worked for me. I would watch over their shoulder and make sure they did every step, and until I felt comfortable with how they were doing this. Once I had one person listing and I felt comfortable with them, I was able to hire a second person, but I didn't train the second person. The person that knew the system trained the second person. But I was able to look over the second person's shoulder and see that they were checking off their little list. That's how I did it. That's how I built every single process my business had. Does it suck? Oh man, I got to tell you, watching somebody bag something for you over and over again for 4 hours drives me nuts. But in the end, I trusted Jose enough that he was able to do that without me being there. That's important, guys. Uniformity is a must. You must be able to do it the same way over and over and over and over again. Some people do their inventory system based on location. It's on rack C in box 1, so it's C1 dash, it's item 3 in that box, so C1-03. So they know that it's on the C rack in box 1 and it's item 3 in that box. Then they, when they take the 03, they reuse those numbers. Their system is set that it's reusable. Mine was never ending. I never reused. I never went back and filled in what sold. I just continued counting higher. Each piece of inventory was given a number. The number was a new number, never used before. Numerical order. Again, my system doesn't have to be yours. You have to work out the process for you. That's something a lot of people don't understand. They ask me, show me how you did it so I can copy it. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. You may enjoy the processing part of it. I know as I got bigger, I used to like to go in the warehouse when nobody was there and process. It was one of my most peaceful times as I grew the business, was when I was in the warehouse alone putting stuff in bags. It was mindless work. It kept my mind busy because I had to make sure I wasn't making mistakes. And nobody was asking me questions. As you hire people, you got to train them well enough that they don't ask you questions. You have to delegate the result. This is what you want it to be. And you have to give them some freedom to be able to fix an issue when it comes up. I struggle with that now. When issues come up, people try to fix them without saying anything. Now, there's a line there, and that's the problem, is where is that line? Where is it okay for them to fix it? And when is it something that I need to know about? For example, my brother ordered, now he was really sick. I'm going to, put that out there right away. My brother was sick. He put a ship from address in a shipping plan wrong. He put it as the warehouse in Tucson, and the truck was supposed to be at the warehouse in Missouri. So he tried to fix it before he called me. Well, what he did was he burned up all the time that day so that it was after business hours when he called me, and I didn't have any time to work on it. That becomes an issue because you get frustrated because why didn't you tell me sooner? But yet you try to get them to solve their own problems. So you got to build that line and be a little flexible with that line. Luckily, it's my brother, so when I lose my patience, it's only my brother, and he's used to me. He's lived with me. You know, he's known me all my life. He knows how I get. He knows I'll yell and scream and then forget about it in 2 minutes. It's just a pressure release valve for me, and he knows it. I can't do that with an employee off the street. So as we come to a close on this, I can't believe it's been almost 30 minutes already. Processes are something that take time. You can't just hand over a list of steps to somebody and walk away. You need to check up on them. Once they are doing the process, you still got to throw out check questions every once in a while. I check my brother every once in a while. Hey, what's going in Amazon? What shipping plans are you working on? You got the truck going to the right place? That's my latest thing right now, is asking them if the truck's going to the right place, because we do LTL, less than a truckload. I probably could do full truckloads if I shipped from one location, but I have 4 locations I ship from, so it's not possible. And to build all that was a process, guys. Everything is, if you break it down to step by step, you can teach someone else to do it. This ain't rocket science. This ain't brain surgery. And guess what? People that know how to do brain surgery teach new people how to do brain surgery, because it's a step-by-step process. So you are not the only one that can do what you do. I promise you. I don't care what it is. I mean, unless it's something crazy like, I don't even want to, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head of what would incorporate into that. Now, guys, I know that many of you may not be working on processes. Even if you don't want to grow to where you have employees, you should have a process in place that you can shut your business down if you get sick. What do you do if you get sick with COVID and you can't ship because they took you to the hospital? That's a real thing now, guys. How do you stop that? How do you ship out the packages and put that store on vacation? What would you want somebody to do for you if that happened? Do you have written out step-by-steps? My business would run without me sitting here. It wouldn't grow. There would be some mistakes. Not everything is perfected in my processes. You hear me talk about it all the time. But if something happened to me, they know how to pull back into a full-blown status quo and get the work done to keep the business flowing. If you need to shut the business down, do you have a plan to shut it down? I know we're all superheroes and we're never going to get sick. But in reality, it's a possibility. Guys, my time is up. Remember, God loves you. I'm trying. My course is coming out soon, so please give me a thumbs up.